How are we feeling today?
Good.
Yeah? Yeah? Good. There's a lot of good energy. I don't know. There's something going on in the universe today. I feel very good. Welcome to Creative Mornings. Raise your hand if this is your first Creative Mornings. Yeah, I know. We have a lot of new faces here. So really quick, I am Michael. I am the local chapter host here for Creative Mornings Columbia. Creative Mornings is a global organization. I have a slide in here. There's about 250 chapters all over the world. In fact, this art was done in Italy. More on that to come in a minute. But yeah, it's a monthly speaker series, usually on a Friday morning, and we celebrate creativity in all its forms. One of the aspects of Creative Mornings is there is always a monthly theme that the speaker is supposed to tie into their talk. This month's theme is punk. It was provided by the Bologna chapter in Italy, and this was illustrated by Cristina Portolano. So really, really cool stuff here. Actually, our chapter potentially.
No, for sure. No,
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of a sure thing, but we don't totally know. I think we're gonna one of our themes got selected for next year, so we'll have so we'll likely have a local artist create one of these for Creative Mornings in 2026, and those will be seen by all 250 chapters. So. Super cool. So, we always start Creative Mornings with an icebreaker that no one enjoys, but we do it anyways. And then by the end, people usually enjoy it. A couple times I've done these like, hey, raise your hand if this, but with the theme of punk, we're raising our, whatever this is, your rock hand or something like that. So, so this is usually pretty corny, but now extra corny. So, let's do it. So, what do I call this? What am I supposed to say?
Satan horns.
Satan horns. Actually, the emoji is horns. So I learned that when I was putting this together. Okay, so raise your Satan horns. If you've been to a punk rock concert or mosh pit, raise them. Yeah. There we go. They aren't all like this. If you ever dyed your hair a non-natural color. Oh yeah. Steven, I have to ask.
Blonde tips, baby.
There we go.
Those were hot 20 years ago.
There we go. Absolutely they were. Does anyone think they've dyed their hair a color that no one else in this room has dyed their hair? What do you think?
It's a room of artists, everyone's
Cheetah print?
Oh, all right. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman is in here, so I think you
I've no cheetah for sorry.
Oh, okay. Got some cheetahs up front. Great. Satan horns, if you've ever written angry poetry or song lyrics. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you've ever been told you're too loud or too intense. Yep. I was going to say, usually the Creative Mornings crowd does pretty strong correlation there. If you've ever felt you didn't fit in and embraced it. Yeah, there we go. That's what punk is. Awesome. Thank you all for participating and indulging me in that. So like I said, Creative Mornings is a global chapter. There's actually 248 chapters across 70 countries. And a lot of them are meeting right now, today. In fact, in Milwaukee, they're doing Life of a Street Cat is the topic of that conversation. Got people in Tulsa, Dallas, Kansas City, they're meeting right now, just 2 hours west of here. Got San Francisco on there. I never know. But anyways, so we're in good company, right? Groups all over the world meeting right now, talking about punk. So Creative Mornings is completely volunteer led, and so we rely on our sponsors. Thankfully, Adobe has been a global sponsor of Creative Mornings because they believe in the power of creativity and community, just like us. They have some awesome leveling up opportunities through Creative Mornings. We usually link to this in our newsletter, so if you RSVP'd, you should get a link to this. These are just free resources available to the Creative Mornings community. And they're also thrilled to announce the Adobe Creative Apprenticeship, a new program offering mentorship, real-world projects, and job opportunities to help aspiring creatives turn their passion into a career. So, shout out to Adobe for being Creative Mornings' global sponsor. Also, our local sponsor, Katana Plastic Surgery. Thank you so much. Coffee, donuts that you're enjoying right now is courtesy of Katana. So, if you are interested, if you've been to a few Creative Mornings, or even this is your first one, you're like, man, I could really see myself coming to all of these, and maybe even helping out. We are looking for more organizers. We've actually had a few of our organizers move on recently. I will say, they've all moved on because their businesses are starting to take off, and so they've had to take more time to work on their business. So, not saying it's because they work great, but there's a correlation there. So, if you are interested in helping out, volunteer opportunity, we need help from everything from social media and marketing to logistics to just day of help getting everything set up. Although I will say, actually, I need to give a shout out to the Mont Mini for everything that they do for us. They by far make it easier than any other venue we go to in terms of setting up and making sure we have everything we need. But we still need organizers. So if you are interested in helping out, reach out to Columbia at CreativeMornings.com. Some kind of somber news, but also exciting news. We are looking for our next local chapter host. So I have decided to move on from my host responsibilities. My wife and I are actually expecting our first baby in November. So thank you. So yeah, super excited, getting going for that. And so yeah, we'll be moving on to our next chapter host. So if you're interested in learning more, or you know somebody who is, feel free to talk to me afterwards or reach out to Columbia at CreativeMornings.com. Last thing before we get going, well, second to last thing before we get going, I want to give a shout out to next month's event, which will be July 18th. Ranjana, the owner of Raw Roots Turmeric, will be speaking. So, super exciting. I should have put the theme on there, but I didn't. Do you remember the theme? Mentor. Yes, the theme is mentor next month, July 18th. All right, last thing before we get going, we read through the manifesto of Creative Mornings before we introduce our speaker. And so I need a volunteer to read our manifesto today. Who's it going to be? We're pointing. Oh, there we go. Claire's got it.
He knows my name.
I do.
But it was from the Creative Mornings account, so.
Yeah.
Everyone is creative. A creative life requires bravery and action, honesty and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make the things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections, in learning from others, in hugs and high fives. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities around the world. Everyone is welcome.
Give it up for Claire. All right. Alrighty. Now, what you're actually here for, I'm going to invite up Lauren to introduce our speaker.
All right, this month's global Creative Mornings theme is punk. And while that word might conjure images of safety pins, loud music, or rebellion, at its heart, punk is about something deeper. It's about defiance with intention. It's about making your own rules, celebrating your own path, and refusing to be boxed in. Punk is personal. Punk is brave. Which brings us to our speaker, Lars Van Zandt. Lars has been tattooing since 2003 and has become a cornerstone of the Mid-Missouri tattoo community. After landing in Columbia in 2007, he opened Century Tattoo in Ashland, its only tattoo shop, and has spent the last 20 plus years mentoring artists and helping people wear their dreams on their skin. But Lars is more than a tattooer. He's a maker, a tinkerer, a deep thinker. He brings philosophy and storytelling into his work, collaborating with each client to uncover the meaning behind the marks they carry. His work is as much about transformation and truth as it is about ink. Lars embodies the spirit of punk, not just through art, but in how he's built his life with curiosity, independence, and a steady refusal to conform. He's a reminder that creativity doesn't have to be loud to make a statement. It just has to be real. Please help us welcome Lars Van Zandt.
Bunk.
I think the intro summed it up pretty well. When I was handed this speech, I didn't really wasn't really sure how I wanted to embrace this thing. My dad grew up in punk rock as from a teenager for years. I still go to shows every now and then, but I'm less active in that group. But my girlfriend can attest to how much I railed at the very idea of having to embody this very word. There's about 10 pages of it. Anyway, who's your favorite punk?
Tom Morello.
Tom Morello, that's a good one. Anybody else? Mine is Alan Watts and Greg Graffin. Alan Watts, not a traditional punk rocker, but a former English preacher turned Taoist monk. If you've never listened to Alan Watts, it is worth a while. Greg Graffin is the lead singer of Bad Religion. He became a PhD Harvard professor and then just kept doing punk rock all the way. This is me in my most punk days. I don't have a lot of pictures of this. This is from my mom's photo album. She wasn't a huge fan, so you don't get a lot. But there's some of the cheetah prints. This is my lifetime special, a plurality of origins. I grew up in Illinois, and I had a pretty traditional childhood, except for a lot of things. I got a lot of free time, and to run around and do whatever. So I had miles of just exploring to do in this little town. I grew up in a traditional household with Christian values. Sometimes I was left out in the middle of nowhere, and so I had a ton of time to myself. The one thing that stuck out to me was my dad had a hot stuff tattoo that he got drunk in the military in Nuremberg. He doesn't remember it at all. But it took me being a parent to realize maybe one of the reasons I connected to tattoos so much is that as I was holding my son on the second day he was born, I was like, what would it be like to be held? I realized when I was held by a baby by my dad, this was probably one of the few images I could see. And much to his chagrin, it left a deeper impression than expected. Maybe the greatest mistake he ever made was on a whim buying me Offspring's Smash album when I was in 3rd grade, which then sent me down a spiral. I was a good church kid for a long time, but at the same time, I was learning about punk rock. I got into Bad Religion. I was listening to metal, and I was running this dualistic world of being this church kid who was in the Boy Scouts, who spent time camping, who was a youth leader, while going to punk rock shows with friends doing drugs and dancing in mosh pits and learning about this wider world I had never seen. So I had these multiple times I was having many different worlds, and I spent a lot of time in nature too. So I just a third of my life was sat in the backwoods of nothing, just watching bugs, running through punk rock fields with my friends, doing stupid shit, pissing off cops and running away. And then going to church to learn about the Word of God. It creates a real jumble in your head. But at the end of the day, I started tattooing in 2003, and which came to me through both a blend of punk rock and church. I was given an opportunity to apprentice, and then I began to learn tattooing there. One of the first things I learned in tattooing, the hard way, was reject the idea of art. It's not about feelings. It is about feelings. It's it's not about feelings. There are two things. Every art I see here comes from craft. You had to learn a technique, you had to learn a brush, you had to learn to paint. And you had to do that while embracing your feelings. You had to rebel against your own, to learn something well, you have to rebel against your inclination to just feel it out. It's like you can't, you have to sit there, you have to draw the same thing 1,000 times. Like that's mastery, is finding, when you draw a rose 1,000 times, it begins to bleed, you know, it begins to change and it begins to morph. So that every time there's something a little different, and those variations, that's the art. Because that's the honest part of it. Like, we've all seen artwork where it's like, it doesn't hit, you know? And there's gonna be stuff like that. But it's, you just have to roll with it. You know, do the same thing over and over again. Spend 3 hours painting that little hat that guy's got. Well, he probably spent 3 hours on it, but do it for 1,000 hours. Like, do 25 of those hats, and you'll find something different in each hat. That's the art, not the feelings, the byproduct. I came through, like many of my friends at the time, we came up in the punk scene. Most of the tattooers that, if you've ever been around the St. Louis tattoo scene or Kansas City, most of us were all at the same shows. We moshed together. I have stories about almost half the tattooers in this state from when we were 16. And it's a wild one. If you want to rebel against something, you have to know it. Embrace craft. By learning the thing that you don't like, it teaches you where its strengths are and where its weaknesses are and where you can improve. This is true for the world all the way around. Like, you want to get in, like, you can't always be in a system, but you have to understand. I don't want to go into politics, but I wouldn't mind if it burned down. But I understand it. I had to learn about it, I had to read about it. This is one of my favorite things. This is craft right here. This is an acetate from the 1950s. It's based off of an old tombstone saying that goes back all the way to the 1600s. Acetates are these little plastic guys that are etched. You put a little charcoal in them, you slap it on the skin, and you go. And obviously some of you guys have tattoos. You get the little purple bag, the little piece of paper. So that's it. That sits attached by like some sort of sticky substance. Any number of things will work. You stick it on, you pull it, it dries. This is charcoal sitting on top of Vaseline. This is one wipe and you lose the entire thing. This will happen all the time while you're doing an acetate. I had to teach myself again how to do this. No one did it. I started collecting these 15 years ago. And I just had to get a buddy and sit down and said, I don't know how to do this. No one will teach me how to do this. But there are books, and there are old ways. Like there's old messages and like notes sent through back and forth through time. And this is everywhere. Like we think of punk as this like, as like an image now, right? But like there were punks the whole time. Everyone knows the term Luddite. Does anyone know its history? Back in the early 1800s, when the Industrial Revolution began, there were a bunch of like people who made like yarn and wool and stuff like that. And then these machines come around, and they saw what it did. Not only did it produce quickly, but it reduced the craft. And so they went and they smashed these machines. And they're like, we're not fucking doing this. Like, you're not gonna take what we do, reduce it to a simple monetary labor to then sell cheaply and undercut a living artwork. And now we use it as a term for someone who doesn't want to understand technology. And that right there is pure propaganda. This is some of my work. I've been tattooing now over 20 years. You've probably seen these people. Some of them are in this room. I spend a lot of time with a lot of people. I had to learn, like, with a lot of people. I don't know what this is. But, like, we just, like, you have to, like, meet a person where they are and what they want, and then you find, and then, like, build something between the connection of the two of you. Like, you have to, like, remove resistance and find ways to bridge worlds. And then you get something. And then sometimes you get to the point where your friends, you've built these connections enough that your friends are just like, I don't know, I just want a space cover. And then you get weird. Ask Jesse about it right there. He enjoyed that 2 days ago. Here is some of my art. And these are about 3 inches, like these two guys on the sides are only about 3 by 6 inches. I don't even know where I'm at. A lot of this stuff is done after after my day is done, I'm left with a head full of ideas, a lot of people to deal with, and I just do something. I just have to like burn out this energy that's left over. It gets weird, but I come from like a time of like, you know, like, that's definitely a rip on a pus head skull. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. That's an old artist. Yeah, we spend a lot, like, as a tattooer, you have to spend a lot of time in multiple worlds. I have to be present with you when we do the tattoo. I have to go and reach into this soupy ether to do what is essentially drawing plus a logic puzzle. And then I have to tattoo you while being engaged with you physically, engaged with you emotionally, handling the machine logistically, and then keeping an eye out all around you. So it's just layers, you know. And that sort of stuff like makes you aware of like real people and like what's going on. Like I hear thousands of stories of different things. I've probably tattooed in the neighborhood of 30,000 people, realistically. That's a lot of story to hear. That leads you to to see the world differently. Like, you come in a punk scene, you're like, fuck this system, I don't like the way it works. And then you meet dozens of people, like, looking from 1,000 different ways and different perspectives on it. And you don't agree with all of them. You definitely don't like all of them. But your job is to find common ground, you know? Like, it's learning the system, you know? It's like, I've had the opportunity that's what I would consider to be pretty rare, is to see not only how the world works, but in general, the broad stroke of its effects on people. I don't know if this is an opportunity a lot of us get. And we're not, like, tattooers notoriously we're pretty, like, insular, socially. Because professionally, we're not. Like, I mean, yeah, I meet people every day that when I go to a grocery store that I've tattooed, if, you know, like I get asked questions all the time about tattooing. But at home, I'm pretty, like, I can see the same 4 people for months, and it wouldn't bother me. But sometimes you get these bleeds, artistically because of all these interactions. And so like right here is like an example of a good bleed where it's like, this is a series of digital brushes that I'd had in conversation with someone who was pushing 3D art into tattooing. And so they made these 3D renderings of designs. And while he's talking about it, and we're having this conversation, I'm looking and I'm like, it's hard to see, you can't really see it, but what happens is that like, the image is both 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional at the same time. Like I can like flatten it so that I can understand the shapes of the arms so I can draw. But you can also project an image onto here, but the image projects as a 2D image onto a 3D object. So you create warp. So like I didn't draw any of this warp that's like in the flower or on the skulls or like on the chrysanthemum up top. I just, I had the thing, I dropped it on top of it, and then wherever it hit, that was it. I didn't mess with it too much. This happens all the time in our lives. You just take the cards as they lay. And you shape it, you move it, and you adjust it. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I fidgeted with it, I took some time with it, but, like, there's so many things we can do with what we think we don't have. Like, we presume that because, we create this invisible barrier that says, well, it's not like this, so I can't do it. And it's like, well, there's 1,000 different ways. I was so pissed at 3D art at first. It was fucking irritating. Until I realized that by projecting it, it got really weird. And so then I started messing with it. And that's how that guy came around. And I have like, I don't know, half a dozen of these laying around somewhere. Where we at? Here's some more of my tattoo. Jesse, who has this chess piece right here, is right there. He used to come, he started a circuit store in the shop, and, was straight up like, I like this image, but I wanna change it a little bit. And so we found this old cowboy image that was based off of this like John Wayne redo, and, we stuck a skull on it from the same set of flash. And then we just drew in all the background. Like, most of what I do is freeform. Like, this Hanya skull, main image, but then like all the flowers were just doodled in. All the background on this Poseidon here, doodled in. Because this is where like, it's not an act of it's not rebellion to deal with reality as it presents to you. The rebellion is standing up against, it's like, you have to like fight against, I lost my train of thought. Fuck it, we'll move on. This is what can happen when you just do things the way, like, you deal with reality as it's presented to you. Like, this is some of the artwork I've made, like, it was like we were asked to do an art show about being steeped in tradition. As a tattooer, like, I spend a lot of time in a world that is both art and craft. It's both deeply rooted in traditions that go back hundreds of years to thousands of years. Does anybody know how old tattooing is? Take a guess.
3,000 years.
About 250,000 years. It is one of the oldest things that humans have done. There is not a single body that we find buried that isn't covered in tattoos. I find it interesting that we, like, think about that for a second. Let me do this. How is it a rebellion if it's one of the oldest things humans have ever done? Like, we eat food, we sit by a fire, we have a lot of fun making babies, we get tattoos. Like, it feels often in this world that to be a human is to be rebellious. Just existing is a rebellion sometimes. And that's why I love my job. Like, I don't think tattooing is particularly punk rock or rebellious. I think the rebellion is choosing to live honestly as a person and accepting people radically, good and bad, as they sit. Because that doesn't happen anymore, And now we're fighting the fucking matrix on it, You have AI telling you how to be. You have corporations setting boundaries of acceptable limits. Do you know how hard it is for tattooers on Instagram? If I go back, that one, this right here gets flagged if I post it. And not only that, that's on a three-dimensional person moving through space and time. how do I show humanity on a 2x2 square? Like, my job isn't, I don't care about Instagram. It's interesting, it's fun, I probably spend too much time on there, but we can't, like if you wanna rebel, just be a person, just be yourself. And if it burns to the ground because you're a person, then maybe it wasn't meant to stand. If we as a people can't be ourselves and exist in a collaborative world with everyone else, then like, maybe the world is wrong. Like, if you can't take the time and enjoy a squirrel being lazy and think it's humorous because you also like to be lazy, I don't know, man. Maybe something's really wrong here. This is some of my larger concept work, because sometimes I just like fucking around. I don't need it to make sense. Like, you can kind of see the legs underneath it. Like, I often spend time wondering, like, what does the machine want to say? You know, like, what are the tools I use? Like, they have their own voice. I've used some of these machines for, I don't know, tens of thousands of hours. They gotta have a soul too, right? So yeah, there's an idea of what a machine might want, what a tattoo machine might want to say sometimes. Other than that, questions, comments, concerns?
Since your machines have thoughts, have you named them?
So, I have one that's the Warlock, which Jesse experienced. And they're not all group appropriate names. But no, I usually don't. I just let them be what they are. I don't, so I don't think in a lot of words. Like, first it's image, emotions, and then I have to often translate that. So I don't like name a lot of things. I just like let it be what it is, because to name a thing puts a parameter on it, and I feel sometimes like that's really limiting.
So as far as limiting names, do the majority of, so I'm asking you to speak on behalf of all people who tattoo. Do most people who tattoo like to be referred to as tattooers as opposed to tattoo artists? Because I've historically always thought it was tattoo artists, but I only hear people self-identify as somebody, as a tattooer. Can you speak on the distinction between that, or if it matters at all to
There's a
anybody?
lot of hot takes in that.
Okay. I'll look it up on TikTok.
Good question.
Oh, no, don't, because you won't find it. The earliest reference is from George Burchett in the book Memoirs of a Tattooist from the 1950s.
Oh, tattooist. I didn't even know
Where
that
he
one.
refers to, we think of like tattoo artist. Tattooist is the closing acronym for, or like the closure of tattooer and of tattoo artist. Tattooer is a craftsman. Tattooist is supposed to be someone who is both a craftsman elevated to an artist.
Say that one more time. That was poetic. That was beautiful.
Tattooer is the craftsman. That's the walk-in work. That's the hearts, the names, the small piddly flowers. The tattooist is someone who can elevate those into actual art. Not everyone agrees with that. Not everyone likes tattooists. Honestly, we are as much a group firmly rooted in divisiveness as we are firmly rooted in tradition. You don't touch this many people and not like find yourself crass with gallows humors and shit talking each other all the time. Like, I got thrown up on twice last week. It's not the first time. It just happens. And so you just deal with it. You're just like, okay. I was tattooing Jesse's back the other day. Like, we kind of picked on him the whole time. And he shit talked us. That's what you do. You put people in pain every day. Like, I have to, if you come to see me, you're gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. Probably gonna suck a little bit too. But like, how do we have a good time while being in pain? Like we run, I live in a dual world, you know, like, I everything I do is commission, but everything's heartfelt, but everything hurts, but you feel good about it later. Like, I mean, like, you talk about like resistance to flow, resistance to like normality. It's like, we live in a world that wants to create safety precautions and comforts, and yet my industry is booming and it's based around pain and self-progress.
I'm just, again, about that duality element, and you obviously are very skilled and have worked with so many different people, and like you said, mainly working with commissions, well, and I don't know, but I'm sure a lot of people come in there with their ideas and things already. How do you carve out the time to focus on, like you said, when you finally get to turn your brain off and go do something without any rules or are people telling you to do? And I'm only asking because I have a lot of friends, that may be really skilled chefs, but they're like, the last thing I do when I come home is I don't want to cook, like, and so they don't cook for their family or anything like this. I'm just curious of how you kind of find space and time for your own art.
Right now I don't. I just sneak it into everything you guys get.
Gotcha. That's a way too.
Every once in a while, I'll get time, or I'll go through like a hot streak of making stuff. But like, I don't. And then the other way too, it's like I just let it permeate me in everything. Like, so like I'll just get really niched into like, I wanted to do something creative last night. I was short on time, and I also wanted to do something for like a hangout. So like, I just took the time and really enjoyed I enjoyed the processes a lot. So I enjoyed the process of making Jello shots. It's not an artistic endeavor, but it's how I spent my night, and it was really fun to watch like the gelatin mix and like get dry, and it's like, oh, how can I mess with this? So.
Love that.
I'm the mother of 2 boys in their 20s, neither of whom have tattoos, which shocks me. And the younger one in passing recently kind of said, I don't want to get one because literally every friend I have has one. So it's almost a flip of the rebellion kind of thing. And I'm wondering how you feel about the, I don't know if this is a word, but like the pedestrianism of so many young people getting tattoos in at least what seems to me a very casual kind of, because everybody's getting one sort of way, like not putting quite as much thought into it. I don't know, and maybe I'm misinterpreting what's happening.
But what are my takes on people getting tattoos that are visible and kind of like whatever?
It just seems like tattoos used to be more, well, not as, I don't know, I'm not phrasing my question very well.
I wonder if like if you're just saying like, back when I grew up, like when we all got out of college, remember it was like a really big deal if someone did get a tattoo, or if you went through something in your life, depending on what friendly groups you were in, right? But now it does seem like, I think a lot of kids, as soon as they hit 18, are like, I want to get little flowers, I want to do this. I've got lots of girlfriends that have little like minimalism tattoos and things like that. So maybe you're asking like, has that changed, or have you seen that change, and how do you feel about that? Just if people aren't thinking as much when they come in, right? Like about giving something about like what they've gone through or something. It's just like, oh, I want some little flowers because I thought it was cute on Instagram, or I just want this. Like, do you have any?
That's my question.
Yeah.
If you care, or if it matters to you, like the sort of the depth of meaning behind things.
Absolutely not. No, I honestly want to attach less to tattoos.
Okay.
I don't need to be that attached to that many people. Like, I change someone's life 4 or 5 times a day. That's pretty fucking exhausting. And you have to be disconnected from it. You have to be disassociated. It's none of my business how you want to change your life. But it is a rite of passage. And it doesn't have to mean anything. What it means is you gotta take a moment in time and like an experience, and just take a little pin and put it on the roadmap of your life. Like, who cares what it is? Sorry if it sucks. That was your choice. Oh, we had a question back here. Yeah.
So I was asked to ask you about the stereotype that women can handle tattoos better than men.
That they can or can't?
The message said can.
Oh, they definitely can. Oh, yeah, that's absolutely true.
Huh.
I've never heard about that until my daughter messaged me.
Yeah, you guys gotta go through menstruation every month.
Yeah.
Like, I don't wanna deal with that. Like, we all way tougher.
You need to look up the videos of the guys wearing like the period cramp
Oh, those are
simulators.
good.
It's hilarious.
Well, so first of all, no one has ever incorporated the monthly theme art into their presentation, like you did on your first slide, so kudos to you, that was really cool.
Thank you.
Kind of coming back to the last point, I have so many questions, but the thing that's sticking out in my brain is you running into people that you've tattooed, like in public,
Mhm.
like you alluded to that a little bit, and when you are, changing people's lives 4 or 5 times a day, like I feel like it's the equivalent of like if I saw my therapist at the grocery store or something. I'm just curious, like what those interactions are like.
Mostly me trying to remember them.
Sure. But like, are they like coming up to you like, oh my gosh, thank you so
You
much
changed
for
my
listening
life.
out?" Yeah, right. Like, are they like what?
Not usually.
Okay.
You changed my life, but like because it's subtle, right? Like it's very magical. I could speak on the magic of it ad nauseum. But it's like they feel cooler. Confidence comes free. So it's like, yeah, hey, thanks, I feel cooler about myself. Some people I remember, some people I don't. We had that happen today. Did I do this tattoo? 12 years ago. The leaves look like something I did, but I might have borrowed the flowers from someone else. I don't know. I don't know, it happened, you kind of like don't think about it too much, and you don't remember it, but I know my tattoos most of the time when I see them.
Okay.
Like, I won't remember a face or a name, but I'll remember what we talked about when I see the tattoo. Because that gets imprinted, for me and for them, right? Like, experience is everything.
Sure.
Like I said, pictures, emotions, words, and they layer into my world with that way. Like, I won't remember the faces here, but I will remember the pictures, the general setup of where everyone was, but your names or what we talked about, I won't remember that. Anyone else?
Yeah, you said you sprinkle, if I'm recalling correctly, that you sprinkle your own art into the work that you give to your clients. What would you say are like the themes that you're currently interested in, or what would denote something that is specifically yours that you would sprinkle in?
I can show you. Everything here, actually. I mean, like, when I draw this guy on, right here, when I draw on this background, or these flowers, it's all me. Because you can't not be you. That's the secret sauce.
Right.
That's an impossibility. Like, I'm not Joe Schmo tattooing down the street. I'm me. And I've accepted that. I'm gonna draw a thing a certain way because I've been drawing my entire life. So I've developed habits. Those habits have byproducts. Those byproducts can be exploited, manipulated, and changed based upon the desired outcome, but they're gonna look the same either way, Like, if I draw a skull, chances are I'm gonna slide one of these guys in there. Because it's gross. And I like it. If I do something detailed like this throat tattoo or this, to save myself time and effort, I'm probably gonna add a thicker line on the bottom and a thinner line on top because that's a drop shadow. And I don't have to fucking shade it. But then like there's moments where it's like, this is my buddy Bub's chest. He's like, I wanna get my chest covered. And it's like, I don't know, he's like thinking about an American Eagle or something like that. And I was just driving by one day, picking up my son, and I was driving through a field, and I watched a red-tailed hawk get swamped by a bunch of swallows. This happens all the time, by the way, guys. If you see a hawk and there's a bunch of birds following it, they just told it to fuck off real hard. And I was like, well, this is a Missouri jewel in the sun, Duel in the Sun is a classic image that you can see of two eagles fighting over a rabbit. So I thought, I don't see a lot of eagles fighting over rabbits, but I do see hawks getting their ass beat all the time. This one right here. I was walking by a bookstore and I saw the MC Escher banner heads. I was like, man, that'd be a super cool traditional tattoo. This one right here. I had one stencil, and it was this big fucking Viking, and that was from a sheet of flash, a photocopy sheet of flash someone gave me. This is my buddy Jeremy. He's actually on this page, all these tattoos like 5 times. He's like my oldest client. He's like, I just want something cool. What about a Viking? And I was like, what about this Viking? And I was like, sick. I'm like, cool. I want to do it big. So I like doing big, simple stuff that you can see from across the room, and then adding all the little fun bits. All this stuff had a lot of freedom in it. A general idea. Someone handed me, I want to see the cosmos in a jar. So, I mean, sounded fun to make it a liquid, right? And then obviously stars and reflections are similar, so I just paired them all together. You see a bunch of Buddhist monks sitting right there. Well, if you look through enough books are key, by the way. Never use the internet for referencing. Go to the library. I lived in libraries as a child. Yeah, there's one that is just like the empty body, because there's the principle of the rainbow body in Buddhism, which is like after you achieve enlightenment, you basically train your body to it's pretty esoteric, but you basically train your body to come with you into the worlds beyond after enlightenment. Because enlightenment is just another beginning. Yeah. Acetate are a perfect example. I know how to draw a tiger. I know how to draw this. I can't wipe with this. Like, I have to just do it. I have to trust myself. This is all surfing. So the fact that this turned out this good means that, like, I didn't have that eyebrow to give her a little stank eye. That just happened. That just has to happen. And you have to trust yourself, and that's the art. That's the art right there. The trusting yourself to know that you're going to accomplish the job. And it's not a painting. I can't paint over it. I got one shot. It's got to be in and out.
Have you ever said like no? Like, have you ever like if someone comes in and they have an idea or something, like have you ever turned anyone down for tattoos? Or
all the time.
Okay.
It's on my contact sheet. One person.
Is there, what's like the biggest reason? Like someone's too hammered, or is it like, you know, a certain type of thing they want to get, or like what's the biggest reason?
I don't want to fuck with them.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't want to deal with your energy.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I only have so much time in the day and so much time in my life.
Would you turn someone down for subject matter of what they wanted tattooed?
Yes, there's a lot of caveats to that though.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes I'll do something that would be in modern day, like sometimes I used to do stuff like, there was a big discussion for a while, right, as like we were all kind of like learning a little bit more about history and culture, about like things like Confederate flags. When I first started tattooing, I didn't really fully grasp the difference of it all. And at some point in time, I just turned to myself, I said, well, I'm gonna charge the person way fucking more. But here's the thing about tattoos. It tells you who a person is. I would rather know before I ever had to engage with someone if those takes are their views. And if I have to like deal with them for a little bit so that you guys look at that person and go, I never want to speak to that person. I have nothing to say to them. I'll run that bleeding edge and you guys will be mad. I saved you guys hours of pain by marking stupid things on shitty people.
An identifier.
Yeah, I'll put that fucking billboard up there.
It's like a death.
Yeah, and I'll charge them 3 times the amount for it. Any other questions?
Well, tell us about Century. Tell us about your shop.
I opened Century Tattoo in December 2019, and my son had asked me to stay home. I travel a lot, like you can see right there, that's South Africa. That's Jordan. Those are penguins. Those are real penguins, guys.
Oh my gosh.
Caitlin and I did this just a few months ago. Like, I used to travel a lot. I love traveling. I love going places where I don't know the language or the culture, and I stand out like a sore thumb, and like a happy idiot, I just roll with the punches. But my son asked me to stay home for a year and a month, and I thought that was really poetic. So I did. And by the end of it, I opened a shop because I was like, I can't fucking be in this place I'm at anymore. Like, I'm tired of like, there's just too many relationships changed too much, you know? I went from being a young, really punk rock, single, broken-hearted, yada yada, whatever, to a parent that was an adult that had a life. And like the fit just wasn't it anymore. So I opened a shop, and to me, I made it a spot that I said, I don't need this to be the place where you get your first tattoo. This needs to be the place where you get your dream tattoo. It can be your last one. It doesn't have to be. But, and I made a shop that made sense for me and for other tattooers. Like, I wanted tattooers to come there and be like, I can go anywhere I want and I choose to be here. And I also made it a temple. You know, like if you walk in, like, I mean, I pulled stuff from all over the world, all of my travels. Like there is a lot. We have a shrine that was handmade in India. We have scrolls from China. I have stuff from when we went to that's the Temple of Hercules in Amman, Jordan. I have stuff from there. I have stuff from all over the world. And so I just made it a shrine to all the experiences and weirdness of life. And we opened it for 3 months, and then COVID hit. And then my back went out, and I had to spend a whole week after building this whole thing, sit there. And I don't know if you guys remember, but in the beginning of COVID, doctors were barely even open. Everyone was scrambling. I had to lay in a bed for a whole week. All I could do was occasionally get myself to the kitchen and to a couch to play Fortnite, because there was nothing else I could do. And I just had to sit with for a week where I can't paint, because I wasn't in a position to paint. I might lose my entire business, and everything I sunk into it financially. I might not ever be able to tattoo again. And I just rolled the dice so hard, and it's like, what if it just came up? Nothing. I was like, fuck it. But it gave me a new lease. You know, it was a very eye-opening week. And then we reopened, and I was like, all right, we're gonna push this stream even harder. And it's wild. It's been through some ups and downs, and I've been through some ups and downs. Here we are. And now it's like I got a shop. We got 2 other people working with us. I have an apprentice. She's almost tattooing, and it's like I just made a shop where I could take people as they are. Any other questions? Yeah.
Go back to that question mark. That was drawn by a tattooist, not a tattooer.
Yeah. I did that this morning at like 7 a.m. this morning. I was like, so anyone wants that tattooed, Lars will do it on. It's called the burning question. There's the old flash.
Oh. It's sick.
Yeah, like there's tons of flash like this. I have several times. Yeah, tattooers hide shit all the time. Like there's a lot of like esoteric information in American traditional tattoo imagery.
The negative space inside of it kind of looks like a goat. Oh, is that your real laugh?
No.
Alright, let's give it up for Lars. So good. Phenomenal. Thank you all so much for coming out. There's coffee, there's still donuts left over. You're welcome to mingle as we're shutting everything down. But yeah, we'll be back next month, July 18th. Hope to see you there. One more time for Lars.